Hi, this is Gizmo First. It's not a secret that I'm a science fiction fan, and as such I've been having a hard time with it the last couple of years. You see, what I deem as science fiction differs from the modern Hollywood CGI and light show that seems to pass for the genre these days. All flair and no substance seems to be the tagline of every Star Trek and Star Wars film since about 2015, so I was naturally apprehensive when I heard that Foundation, the series penned by the great Isaac Asimov himself, would be getting a TV series. My fears were compounded when I saw the first trailer drop, in which great space battles and ground conflicts were shown on the backdrop of lines taken straight out the book. But I was still fearfully hopeful that we would get something more insightful, more thought-provoking than Star Trek Discovery had proposed. I mean, both Star Wars and Star Trek have offered up some really bland characters of late. Rey, who I had hoped would be properly fleshed out after Episode 7, turned out to be the flattest character in Star Wars since...
You saved my again!
What's this?
A local.
And the writing was bland, contrived, and slightly self-serving from the writer's perspective, and Star Trek pretty much went the same direction. I mean, Michael Burnham has a fleshed-out backstory, and she certainly has plenty of reason to be skilled in the art of combat, tactical prowess, and any other number of things, but the way people around her react to her actual character, a person who flaunts authority at pretty much every turn, literally resulting often in the deaths of those around her and sector-wide genocide, is just unrealistic to the core. Cue Season 4, where she is now in command of the most sought-after starship in the Federation, where 3 episodes ago she disobeyed direct commands, threatened to resign her commission.
But I'll be damned if your way didn't work, too.
Oh man. Suffice to say, this trend didn't give me hope for Foundation. As I mentioned in my breakdown of episode 1 and 2, however, I was pleasantly surprised. The first 2 episodes were definitely slow burn and gave us a chance to get to know the characters, their motivations, and the situation in the galaxy at large. And for the most part, it continued in this vein. I found most intriguing the storyline of the Emperors, Dawn, Day, and Dusk, and found it an ingenious way, I'm talking about the cloning of course, of keeping an antagonist alive for what will be a 1,000-year-long story. The idea of seeing the degradation and stagnation of a leadership that refuses to bend to change and progress, thus destroying the very fabric of what they want to preserve, is an interesting concept, and certain modern day leaders should take heed. Lee Pace's performance in particular is riveting as Empire Day. Other characters like Salvor Harding, Gul Dornick, Demerzel, and Seldon himself were all portrayed adequately, though it's worthy of note that it strays so far from the books at this point as to almost be unrecognisable in all but name. This was always going to happen, of course, but in the end it is to the series' detriment, which I'll talk about in a bit. Some will have an issue with the gender and race swapping in this show, as it is done to pretty much every character bar 2 or 3. I'll admit to being tired of this particular trope myself in modern TV, but in Foundation it doesn't really make a big difference. Asimov wrote either short stories where the characters existed to drive the narrative only, or galaxy-wide affairs in which most of the characters were inconsequential. All was generally well with the series until about episode 7, when this happened.
Surrender this ship to us immediately or die.
Look, I know that we have to have action and plenty of it for ratings to stay healthy and for there to be a chance for season 2 to come along, but in this case episode 7 and on lost itself a little bit. Action is all well and good if it serves the story, and herein lies the problem. The story at its core is about psychohistory, a mathematical science the main protagonist Harry Seldon created to predict the future of masses. Once you knew what the future would be, you would be able to introduce possible changes that would change said future in certain directions, but it doesn't take individual people into account, and as such, no one is special.
You are special, Salva.
The introduction of the ship Invictus, not in the books in any way, shape or form, is a factor that, according to Seldon's own theory, he could not have predicted, but here claims that he did, and that it would be found by a specific person also cannot be predicted, but he claimed that he did. The lore of the show starts to unravel here, and a string of coincidences try to hold it together. The writers almost seem desperate to have the 2 main characters survive into season 2, where by all rights they should be long dead of old age. The mechanism for keeping keeping pace, as Empire in the series works very well, but the thread connecting Salvor Hardin and Gul Dornick to the future is thin at best. In conclusion, what started out as a very thoughtful science fiction period piece, hitting all the right buttons to make it an intellectual success, falls prey yet again to the necessity of bling. As a result, stretches the limits of what we, the audience, can reasonably be expected to believe. I see season 2 as being set about 138 years in the future, and I will watch it because it didn't fail to make me interested in it, but I must admit to being disappointed that it didn't stick to its guns and fail to say goodbye to certain characters when we should have. This is Gizmo First. Thanks for watching, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you later.